All right, welcome to the Ballin4God preview show for this football season, the 2026-27 football season.
8th take. It only took 8 takes to get it right. Yes.
Only 8 takes. We had Darren dying on us at one point. You know, we stutter over our words at one
Hunter
point.
was using foul language. We got to cut that.
But Travis, I mean, we got the big man on here.
The big man's here. He was with us episode what?
4.
Episode 4 when we were in one of the cool cabins.
Yes, with Caleb Maurer and Brad Wilson.
Caleb Maurer and Brad Wilson. I was with Brad this past weekend. But Darren Kinnard is with us. Darren, I know we always say introduce yourselves, but buddy, do you have to introduce yourself?
Yeah, if you want me to.
I like it when you do.
I'm Darren Kinnard. I like long walks on the beach. I am the head of RiverRadioSportsCentral.com. I've been in this, getting ready to start my 33rd year.
Larry Bird year.
And I am going to talk. No, I'm not going to talk crap. But no, it's kind of crazy that we're at this point in starting year 33 for me, and it doesn't get old. I mean, it just doesn't. And in one of our takes that's going to be on the cutting room floor, we talked about the fact that it just seems like, wow, baseball season, softball season just got over, and then you blink and all of a sudden it's game week for football. Yes. And I am perfectly okay with that. I mean, I'm ready to go. I mean, that's the exciting thing is, the fall stuff gets underway. Golf is the first one to come out of the gates. And this year, the way it's set up, and I know we're gonna talk, and I've got a full soapbox to crawl up on about the new format. But football is going to be next in the agenda, and then all the other fall sports will start next week. And so this is that exciting time when it's almost the lights are going to be on for real, and that's always a neat time.
Darren, let's tackle it. Russ, let's just get into it. Darren, get on your soapbox. Lord knows Russ and I can do a 9-hour podcast, so you got all the time you want, buddy. The Bison are out there. They're fine. Playoffs. Let's hit it. Come on. Your thoughts.
Well, and, there was, and first of all, I want to make sure that, people understand the way things work as far as the IHSA goes. This was the change that was brought about was an amendment that was brought forth by a bunch of schools, and there were actually 2 football amendments that were put up for discussion in the IHSA legislative group, and they forwarded one, and all 800 plus schools voted on it, and whether they played football or not, that's a bone of contention for some. Of why are people voting on something
they don't even play?
But that's the IHSA rules. If there's an amendment to the bylaws, all the schools have to vote. Now those schools don't necessarily they can no vote or not vote in the process. But because a lot of people are like, well, the IHSA is they are sitting down there from the top, and we're going to do. No, this was a group of schools put out an amendment proposal, and it was voted on. And it passed. And so what it does is it changes the setup for the high school football, where they have expanded the playoffs to 48 teams per class. And by doing that, they have added an extra round of playoffs. And to do that, they have taken out the week 0 scrimmages, which had, a couple years ago, they put it in where teams could have an unofficial scrimmage. It was controlled. There were a lot of things you couldn't do, but it was a way for teams to kind of get together instead of hitting each other all the time. And so I heard mixed reviews on it. Some coaches liked it. Some coaches didn't. I mean, some schools were getting away from it anyway. But now the season starts at what was week 0. And they've added a round to the playoffs, and what that means is that there will be teams that get a bye in that first round of the playoffs. And so 1A through 6A, where you have a North and a South, the top 8 from each division will get a bye. And then in 7A and 8A, where they go 1 through 48, the top 16 will get a bye. And so then they came out and described some things.
We're
It
not
was,
starting
man down. When they came out and described it, they said, well, now it's the opening round of the playoffs,
Yeah.
and the winners advance to the first round of the playoffs. Do we know what first means? I mean, first is first. So, but anyway, we've got opening and first. And my question on the playoff format was, outside of the first round, which is the home teams are decided by seeds, the subsequent rounds are all determined by who is hosted less. Mm-hmm. And so my question I sent to my IHSA contact was, if a road team wins the opening round, what happens there? And
Where's first round played?
And I was told that if you get a bye in the first round, you will or you get a bye in the opening round, you will host the first round. So common sense did prevail there.
In Illinois.
Yeah, I mean that's probably the best I can say about this. I'm not a fan of it because the ideal behind it was there's so much pressure on the race for 5 wins to get playoff eligible and all this, and they felt like the people that proposed this felt like that was the reason why there's so much conference, the conference carousel spending so much, and this will give more teams to be alive throughout the season and have that potential to experience the postseason. To which I say I understand, but so in previous years with 32 teams in a class, that's 256 teams.
Yep.
The last 5 years, we have had a handful of 4 and 5 teams make the playoffs. Okay. We are now adding 128 teams to the mix.
My mind was going there.
That are all going to be less than 4 and 5, or 4 and 5 or worse. And so, with the teams that have announced that they're not playing this year, the total number of playoff eligible teams was less than 500, and I think the number was 493, and that does not include the Chicago Public League Blue, who doesn't go to the playoffs at all, and I think that's another 10 or so teams. So basically, we're going to be playing 9 weeks to eliminate less than 100 teams.
You know what I think? Open it up.
At this point, you might as well.
Do you take a week away? Do you just play 8 regular season games? Or you can still do it with 9 regular season games?
Well, I think that there would still be, because it doesn't break down evenly with 8 classes, so there would still be some buys. But it wouldn't be 16 in each class. It may only be 4 or 5 in each class, but you would still need an opening round. But I mean, theoretically, I said before that 3 is the new 5.
Yeah.
As far as wins to get in the playoffs.
Exactly.
And so then the other part of that is if 3 is the new 5, that means 2 is the new 4.
Sure.
So potentially that you're going to see some 2 and 7 teams get in.
It's crazy to me.
Yeah, and while I get it, more people get to experience that. When I look at the other sports where everybody makes it, I don't think that there's a great celebration that they get to play. If you're the 13 seed or the 15 seed and you're playing the 2 in the subsectional on the road and you're going to take your 40-point beating, I don't think there's a, hey, we got to play in the postseason.
Yeah.
And so I try not to be that guy that old guy to get off my lawn with new stuff, and I don't think this fixes what was the biggest problem with the playoff format. And there are those that think the biggest problem with the playoff format is that it's not seeded 1 through 32, and I think that's lunacy.
Lunacy.
My biggest problem is that you don't know what class you are until playoff night.
Like we did last year, being a Benton Ranger.
Exactly, and Benton is the greatest example. There is no way on the planet that a class should do a class year in the playoffs can be determined on a coin flip.
Can we go to 4A now? After what happened, can we be 4A?
And again though, that's still a possibility.
Yeah,
that could still happen, and
that's nuts.
And I just don't think that can be the case, and so that's the. in Darren's opinion, the biggest problem is the class stuff. And I felt like that if you made the classes and you set the classes, look, people are upset because the closed conferences have kind of gamed the system. You're going to get, in almost every case, at least 5 in there. Sometimes you're going to get 6. But if you had a predetermined class, then, say we use the Black Diamond for an example. Sure. So if they get 6 in, that's going to affect 2A. It's not going to affect any other class. Why should who gets in 2A affect who gets in 5A or 6 or any other class? And so that was not addressed, and that doesn't change. And I'm not a fan of just adding a bunch of teams with losing records because there's thought that there's some 3-6 teams that could do some things in the playoffs, and those are few and far between in my opinion. And I don't think you reset the entire football structure for 2 or 3 teams.
I just don't get it. You and I have talked about it, and I'm sure if we had someone from the IHSA sitting here and talking, they would give us all the talking points of why it happened. But I just don't understand. It just waters it down. I joke, my family obviously owns a place that can make T-shirts, and I mean, are people going to put on? I wouldn't put my record on there. Are we going to have a playoff party for a team that goes 3-6 and have a shirt that says we were 3-6? I mean, that's kind of. I'm sorry, I'm going to sound like whatever here. But that's embarrassing to me a little bit.
I can imagine. I mean, my senior year we were 3-3. At one point we went 1-3 over a 4-week stretch, and say this new playoff format, we could have just been like, well, we already got our 3 wins.
Pack it in.
Well, and I think the idea there is that if you're 2-4, your back is not against the wall that you have to win your last 3 to get in.
Yeah.
And
what's wrong with them having to win 3 to get in?
Well, and ultimately though, I think that again the thought process is that because things are hard and we don't want to do hard things a lot of times, we want to lower the bar, we want to make it easier. And so look, there have been some new rule changes that come in that, people throw fits about and whatever, and then ultimately it comes in and it really hasn't changed a whole lot. When you start changing the entire playoff structure, this
changes things.
This is going to be completely change things. And I don't think that, it specifically, so the thought would be, oh, well, if you the 3-6 play in the 4 and 5, okay, well, that in theory that sounds good. But when you look at, for example, last year in 2A, when you were in that situation, Maroa Forsyth was a 9 in the way it went down.
Exactly.
So Maroa Forsyth, under the new format, would be playing the 24th seed. And so whoever that is, who's probably going to be 2-7, or 3-6 with a not a good schedule.
What's the score of that game going to be, Darren?
And again, is that going to be an experience for those kids to go on a bus and go to Maroa and get their backsides whooped? I don't know. I mean, and again, a lot of coaches will tell you, look, we're 3-6. The kids are ready to turn in the gear.
Ready for basketball or wrestling.
They don't. It's not like, hey, we're 3-6 and we want to go on the road to Maroa, and that's maybe an outlier.
Sure.
I mean, but the potential is there that 9 is going to play 24, and think about this. Think about in 6A with the schedule that East St. Louis plays, and if they say they end up 6-3 or 5-4. And all of a sudden they're down a 9 and they're playing a 24.
Oh my God!
I mean, and again, those are things.
3 of their 9 games they're flying to.
Right. So, and again, you can always with everything you can always pick out the wild exceptions. But I think overall, I am very interested to see how it plays out. I am not in one of those that is optimistic about what that means for. Now if you're a school that hasn't been to the playoffs in ages, to your point, yes, you're in it, but are
you really?
Does it
and
really mean much?
how does it, and if you haven't been in it, you don't care.
Yeah.
You're not going to put the record on, on the T-shirt anyway.
Do you correlate this with like when we're both big time college basketball fans, when the NCAA went from 64 to 68? Do you?
I still don't understand that. And why do we have 2 games that 11s are playing and 2 games where 16s are playing?
Makes no sense.
I don't, I mean, look, if you want to say that you're going to add 4 teams, just have all 4 games be 11s. And
Right.
that's a play-in game.
Sure.
And again, that feels like common sense. And I don't feel like it addressed the issues that people were having with
The main things
football
you
playoffs.
talked about with playoffs didn't get touched. Adding this extra 100 and however many teams you just said, 128, did not fix the issue with.
It doesn't fix the class issue, and it doesn't. For those that were upset about the fact that the North is better than the South, and why are we the way things are set up, why we could have the state championship in the quarterfinals or the semifinals, and then like for example, Maroa Forsyth, they cruise to the title game and they get beat 42-6.
Yeah.
And those, but I would argue that they do 1 through 32, or they have in 7 and 8, and there's no guarantee that one's playing 2. It's just not the nature of the way it works. And there's not a way to, there's not a selection committee that's sitting there watching all these games and are seeding things. People don't like the seeding process. I don't have a problem with it because it's about as fair as it can get, because there is no there's no personal opinion involved. It's strictly wins and what your schedule is, and so it's math. Hey, if you're 9-0 but you played an easy schedule, you may be like a 3 or a 4 potentially. And everybody knew that Maroa Forsyth, even though they were 7-2 last year in 2A, they knew they weren't the 9th seed in the South.
Sure.
But this is you're 7-2. That's where you fit in your slot. I don't have a problem with that, and I know there are those that do, but I don't think that we see enough sandbagging and stuff with the basketball and volleyball regionals when the coaches seed it. And this is you're talking about a sectional complex where they pretty well know everybody that's in there.
Oh, yeah.
How are you going to seed the whole state? We don't know what goes on in the other parts of the state. That's why I don't like voting in any of the state polls. I don't see anybody else.
Sure.
I don't have anything to compare it to. So do I know East St. Louis is good? Absolutely. Do I need to see them in person to know that? No. But I don't see other
I get it,
6A
sure.
teams. And so, again, there's no selection committee. And even if you did, how would that even work? And it just, if it's not broken, why are we trying to overhaul it completely? It probably just needed a tune-up, and they just went full thing. And the arguments that, hey, a lot of this would have been under control or more under control if you just let districts go. Mm-hmm. And there's probably a lot of truth to that.
Why didn't it happen? Why didn't we go districts in Illinois? We thought it was going to happen.
Well, it passed, and then everybody kind of got scared of what it was going to look like, and then they quickly re-voted and said, no, we're not going to do that.
How long ago was that?
It's like after 2023-24 is going into a senior year of high 2024.
2 years ago then?
Yeah, it's been a few years, and the districts would have eliminated the conference carousel stuff because you would have played the teams in your particular district, and the thing is that you could have expanded the playoffs from there if you really wanted to. Okay, instead of taking the top 4 in each district, we're going to take the top 6.
The thing I worry about is, obviously it's obvious. A lot of people talk about it, is the playoffs not mean as much to get into. You think about it, juggernauts like Marion and DuQuoin and Carterville who made the playoffs. Marion made the playoffs 18 straight years or so, and Carterville I think maybe made it 15 or 20 years, and DuQuoin made it however many years, and
1,000.
I feel like something I will always look out, because I always go look at the stats and I always look at the records in history, and that one playoff appearance where they go 3-6 or 4-5 is always going to stick out. I feel like. I mean, I don't know. I think it's just going to be different with that.
Oh, it's going to be different for sure. I mean, because football is the only sport of any sport or activity the IHSA does that you have to earn your way into the postseason, and there was something special about that. And now if we're gonna do this and we're gonna eliminate less than 100 teams, and all those teams are either winless or 1-8. I mean, it does dampen it. It doesn't. It loses some of the luster of, hey, we've had a playoff appearance, and there will be no asterisks. There won't be an asterisk of, well, we made the playoffs, but we were 3-6. I mean, it'll go on the list of playoffs, and again, each school will determine how they handle that moving forward, because as you mentioned, those schools that have a rich tradition, and if they go 3-6 and they get into the playoffs, they're not going to feel like that they're not going to feel the same as somebody that has never been to the playoffs or hasn't been to the playoffs in 20 years or something.
I'm going on record here. It cheapens it. I don't care. Put my name on it. And, I'm very thankful. I live in Benton. We've gone 5 straight years. If Benton goes 3-6 the next 4 years, I'm not going to feel cool saying, hey, we've went 9 straight years. I just don't. I think I say open the whole thing up. To me, I get why the IHSA did it, but it cheapens the whole thing to me. I'm sorry. If you're going to be able to get in at 3-6, 4-5, possibly 2-7, just let everybody in. It's less than 100 schools that can't get in now. We don't want them to get their feelings hurt either, so let's let everybody in. Then you don't have to fight for anything anymore. You just get in. I'm sorry. That's just me.
Well, and in other states, that is, I don't proclaim to know how, great detail how Kentucky or Missouri or whatever do their things, but in their district format, and their districts aren't like size schools. I mean,
they're not at all.
Their districts are location based, and so now you're talking about having to play a big school versus a little school, and I don't like that either. So again, you get back to the classes, and I think that if they would have fixed a couple things there, it needed a tune up. It didn't need a complete overhaul, and they went complete overhaul. And again, the whole thing is that whether it's that or whether it was the districts, I would have preferred there'd been like a qualifier put in after X number of years we will reevaluate.
Mm-hmm. There's nothing like that, right?
And no, not to my knowledge. I mean, it would take another amendment. It would take somebody proposing amendment to go back to 30. And look, just like 4 classes, once that horse is out of the barn,
doesn't go back.
Or the genie's out of the bottle, whatever you want to use there, it ain't going back.
No way.
And so, I think we're at this point that you're probably right on the money. You might as well just go ahead and my concern is that, again, the difference between other sports and football is it's one thing to get your clock clean on the scoreboard.
Right.
It's another thing to get your clock cleaned physically.
Mm-hmm.
And, if we do open it up completely, then you do have those 9-0s playing 0-9s, and that's not good either. So, again, I try not to be the Debbie Downer on new stuff, but I'm not optimistic that this is going to be great. Now, opening week of the playoffs, and we have more content to cover, and I may feel differently about this, but. At this point, I don't think that it's a great thing that we're inviting in 128 more teams that more than likely are all with losing records.
Unbelievable.
But
Russ, we hit that one on the head. Where are we going now?
Well, I sent you guys both a list of all the the all B4G, all South. I mean, it's just what Ballin4God's all South team was. I attached you guys some returners coming this year, and then I sent you guys some PDFs. But obviously, I mean, it's gonna be a big change with the playoffs that has things coming in a week earlier. I mean, think about it. Last year, we were this week 0 last year, and now we're going into the football season. But obviously, we got some big matchups coming up this week and everything. So I don't know. I think it's going to be very interesting to see how the season goes, especially with the list of guys we have coming back, the transfers, everything like that. I mean, we had West Frankfort Redbirds on the show earlier this year. We had Jason Dunning, Joel Dallas, Tyler McConnell. We've had a lot of guys on the show this year.
Transfers, changes.
Yeah, but I don't know. I think, a lot of people are forgetting about we graduate a lot of guys like Callahan Roper, Junius Thomas, Sam Adkins. Benton graduated about 1,500.
In the last 2 years, between your senior year and last year, it seems like Benton's graduated 50 kids.
Yeah, and then also down at Carville, they graduated their entire offensive line, graduated the quarterback, graduated several key players that played both sides like Drake Cappy. But obviously, we got a lot of returners this year. One of those guys, I heard that he was I heard with the Southern, he was kind of in the running with being Player of the Year next to Callahan. He was probably runner-up for me for Player of the Year this past year is Jonathan Miller. But I don't know, given thoughts on some of those guys, there's a lot of dudes coming back that I think a lot of people don't realize that kind of got overshadowed just because of how many players there were last year. You got Jonathan Miller, obviously Tyler McConnell, played at Pinckneyville. Obviously, that's not a football school. People know the name, but I don't think a lot of people have seen him play football. And him going into DuQuoin.
People have seen him a lot, obviously, with Darren shot in footage, what you've shot.
Pairing up with Aiden Adams.
People know how good Tyler McConnell is a lot of times from basketball. They don't realize it's best sports football.
Yeah.
But, I see where you're going with this. I'd like to get Darren's take on with all these guys, coming in. Like, who are you wanting to talk about, guys that have graduated or guys that are coming back?
Guys that are coming back, because obviously you got Centralia, all their guys. Jay-Sean Staples, all those.
Yeah, and I think, look, you guys, you do the rankings, and, we've got the 103.5 poll, and preseason polls are just that. And,
it's preseason, folks. It's preseason.
Right, and a lot of times with preseason polls, a lot of it is based on what you did last year or what you've done historically. But I don't think there is any question in my mind that the team that comes in with the most hype is Centralia. And look, they were going to be, with the weapons that they had coming back, with Archie Guai at quarterback and Kenny Bratton, and just the receiving core and all that, and then you factor in Jay-Sean Staple moves from Mount Vernon. This guy's, I think, pushing 2,000 career yards going into his senior year, and so now you add that weapon to that, and it's like, good luck. And the other part of that is that Centralia is part of the other big offseason story, which is the conference carousel, which tied into, look, I don't think any decision in Centralia is made about football.
No.
We
could get Lee Bennett on here right now. No.
But at the same point, though, they made a decision, to change conferences, and them going to the Cahokia puts them in with schools that are, a little more their size. They go in as the biggest school in Cahokia's biggest division, but Waterloo's also coming in with the Mississippi Valley dissolving. So Waterloo, Jerseyville, Civic Memorial all come in, but Centralia is still that biggest school in there, and you've got, and somebody will need to explain to me why East Alton Wood River is still in that big division.
Yeah.
They're only like 540 somewhere, I think, in
They've
there.
Ticked off the wrong
in the
person.
Enrollment. And here's the debate of, well, we've got to have an even number for scheduling purposes. Well, a lot of places have had 5. A lot of places this year are going to have 5, and they figure out how to make it work. And East Alton Wood River did not score last year, guys. until the second half of week 9. Did not score. And again, I don't know what they have coming back. I don't know any of that. But all I know is that they added 4 schools in that division that are all bigger than anybody else that was already there. So when you factor in now Centralia is playing in a conference that has everybody smaller than them, doesn't mean that they won't be challenged at all. But now they have 7 conference games that are not against Marion, Cahokia, Mount Vernon, the bigger schools that they were seeing in the South 7. And so, look, I mean, those guys could put up Madden numbers.
Well,
I mean, it's crazy to think what kind of season that they potentially could have. But again, the potential is look, they've got some track record behind them. All those dudes do. And so now they're all together, and it has a chance to be a really special season in Centralia.
Darren, this is your 33rd year in this area covering sports. You went to Southern, then you got involved, obviously, everybody knows all the places you've worked. We won't go through the litany list here. But let's be blunt. You've covered Centralia for a long time of your life. What are your thoughts about them leaving the South 7?
Well, I mean, the hard part is that, when they look at their enrollment numbers, they're 800 plus. Well, Carbondale's 1,000, Marion and Mount Vernon are both 1,200. And, Centralia's version or view is that our enrollment's decreasing, and so that's not gonna change. So they're looking at 5 to 10 years down the road, and my thing is that it wasn't like they were getting. I mean, they're competing for championships,
Yes, and everything.
as it was. So it's not like, well, we're going to move to a different conference so that we can compete. They were competing.
Mm-hmm.
Now, again, the thought is, will that opportunity be there in 5 years if we're down to 730, and still fighting that, and we don't know that, but chances are yes, it still would have been there, or there would be another opportunity that would come up. I hate it in the fact that some of the best rivalries, are now not. We're not going to see it unless it happens.
Those two helmets won't play each other.
And they could
in the playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, and
no, not playoffs. They'll be no.
Centralia be 4A,
right? That's 4A and 5A.
In likelihood, we don't know for sure, but I mean, they could theoretically still play in the regular season if they wanted to. But
sure, I get that.
But at the same point, it won't be the same as those conference showdowns. And there's probably a lot of bitter feelings on a lot of people's behalf because the South 7, we mentioned the Mississippi Valley breaking up. One of those pieces, Highland, comes into the South 7, and they were going to finally get back to 6, which because with 5, the scheduling being an odd, it's very difficult to find those middle of the season games, and so now they were going to get back to, hey, we've got an even complete conference, and then Centralia's like, we're out.
I'm just going to ask you this, Darren. And I'm going to hit it here. How many minutes we into this?
About 30 minutes.
30 minutes into this playoff football preview, plethora of performance. I'm thinking every P I can think of. What's going to happen in the South 7? I mean, it's the elephant in the room. Is the South 7 going to be there?
Well, and that's just it, is that, what are the options?
What are the options?
Well, I mean, realistically, the only other option is the newly formed for the bigger schools, the newly formed second division of the Southwestern Conference. But now you would be a school, if say Marion or Mount Vernon, you would be a school of 1,200 going in with, yes, Triad's 1,200. But reason Mascoutah moved from the Mississippi Valley to that is they're projecting to be, over 10 years, to be at 2,000.
Oh, yeah.
Alton is a school of 2,000. Granite City is a big school. They haven't had great success. So that
the whole St. Clair County is like 2,000 students.
That really is the only other option. My personal opinion, and it still could happen, I would have liked to have seen the Cahokia Conference just go full Big Ten or SEC mode and taken in all the teams that were in the Mississippi Valley and all the South 7 and have a 4th division
Okay.
and have 3 divisions of football and then 4 in the other sports. And then, but then, Centralia is like, look, no, that's why we're leaving.
Right.
And so, but I just don't think that, look, Breeze Central is a 4A school also, but their enrollment's what, 640 or something?
Not much bigger than Benton.
Not much, but they're 4A. But it's not like they couldn't compete with Marion, Carbondale, Mount Vernon. And it's not, this isn't like, late 80s Carbondale, Seth Smith,
Sure.
Or Mount Vernon in the glory years, or, yes, they're bigger schools, but I just don't know that it's not the same as playing East St. Louis or O'Fallon or, and those are huge schools, so that probably wasn't a great example. But Mascoutah and Triad are all this they're the same size as Marion, Mount Vernon. They're roughly 1,200. I'm not convinced Triad made a great decision. Their decision, I think, was because I went through and tracked enrollment numbers for last 20 years, and Triad's right about where they've been. They're not growing. Mascoutah is one of the few schools that is growing.
Yeah.
And again, they project if you've been over there, like I was over there for the track sectional, they are redoing that whole campus because they're expecting an explosion of kids. Their grade schools are apparently, the numbers coming. They project out, to be a school. It's going to be around 2,000, and so they made the preemptive move to get into the Southwest Conference because that fit them. I'm not sure Triad fits in it other than geography. And then, as far as the other goes, I don't. It'll be interesting to me to see how it plays out. I don't like East Alton Wood River in the big division for football, and I would have rather seen them go 7-7 and find a way to that odd week. Hey, you're playing the other team in the other division. But if you're Chester or you're Dupo, you probably don't want to see Centralia.
No, you don't.
But I don't think that Centralia or Chester would be scared to play them. So anyway, it just one of those things that I would have liked to seen. If you're going to go big, if you're going to hunt bear, go grizzly, and bring them all in there, and we'll put them all under the same umbrella. But I don't know. Highland's sitting there at like 830, in enrollment. They don't fit with those teams.
No.
Geographically they do, but enrollment they don't. And so Cahokia, same boat. They're less than 800. Geographically they fit. Profile they may not. So I don't know. It's pretty interesting to see how that's gonna play out.
How many minutes are we into this? Down here, people love sports, Darren. You've done it 33 years in this area. People love it.
Yeah, no doubt. And it's it will be interesting. And when you have a situation where it didn't matter if you were in Benton or Carterville, whatever. If somebody said, "Hey, where are you going tonight?" "Oh, I got Centralia Mount Vernon tonight."
Oh, that was the game.
The eyes got big. Oh, if we didn't have a game, we may go to that.
Yes.
And it is sad to see that that's not going to happen. And so again, you wonder, what you don't know. Highland's got to be thinking.
Why did we do this?
Well, they're happy to have a home. In some regards, but then again, it wasn't the bill of sale that they thought they were getting. But again, I don't know that there's a great place for them, other than, look, if the big division of the Cahokia decided to pluck actual school Cahokia and Highland, those schools both fit in that profile of Centralia, Waterloo, all those type
Makes
things.
more sense to me for them to do that.
And then if you're those two schools, you're cutting your travel way down.
Mm-hmm.
Now, again, I don't know if there's a desire to do that. And again, you worry, if you're Mount Vernon, Marion, and Carbondale, you could be left holding the bag, so to speak. Of okay,
Jason, talk to us about that.
Now we've got to figure out, we've got to come up with 8 games or 9 games as an independent, and
That sounds miserable.
oh yeah, I mean, Ryan Gadisky is probably sitting there going, no, shush, stop that. I don't even want to think about that.
He hinted at that a little bit on our show whenever he came on.
But there is a level of unknown, and
I would not want to be in Mount Vernon, Marion, or Carbondale's shoes. I'm sorry, I would not want to be right now with.
Out of the 3, I'd rather be in Mount Vernon, so I would say that.
well, and that,
Cahokia is right next to. Why do they not go to the Southwest?
well, and Mount Vernon, you could sit there and say, well, going to Alton is not really how much worse of that is than going to Carbondale. I mean, I don't know what the exact
I'll tell you what's worse. 9 people will go from Mount Vernon to Alton to watch that game. I mean, I'm sorry, guys.
Right.
That's reality to sports.
But again, they're at least on 64, and they can just hop on and go west for an hour and find their games. I mean, this kind of reminds me of when Salem was kind of in no man's land with the North Egypt, and they ended up in the Apollo, and they were playing. I mean, look, Effingham. Okay, that's fine. That makes sense. But hey, this week you got to go to Lincoln.
Not even close.
No, or Muhammad, or one of those, and that's why they got out and ended up in the Cahokia, and and from all indications are when it looked like that Civic and Jersey were coming from the Mississippi Valley, Salem's like, we don't want to do that, and that.
Why
that's
can't
the
Salem?
impression that's the impression that I got, because all of those in that big division, then you'd have been talking about. All those trips would have been over there to, East Altonwood River, to Columbia, to Waterloo.
They're going west a lot.
Yeah, and they in the Ohio now, since again another one of the conference moves. Look, Salem and Massac County is going to be no picnic, and at the end of the day, though, it's all interstate, and you hope that some common sense scheduling comes in, and hey, those will be Friday night games, or those will be Saturday doubleheaders, or whatever it is to make it work. But it's one of those things that where it's always kind of felt like Salem was a fit for the Ohio, and has been a fit for Ohio for a long time.
I thought this was going to happen years ago.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
Whenever Sparta left, I thought it was.
Yeah, and it just
There was always rumors.
and it didn't happen. And then Salem ended up going to the Cahokia, and I think they had a pretty good. I don't think they had a bad experience there. They just didn't necessarily want to expand further west or more west. And so now they're like, okay, we're gonna make this a different pivot, and it turned out to be a great decision, because I don't think they would want to be in the same conference as Centralia.
No,
I mean, that's a rivalry, but that's different. That's a different level rivalry than Centralia Mount Vernon, and it's a different level rivalry because they play a single non-conference game, and it rotates year to year, and who's home and away and all that stuff. So, but yeah, it would have been interesting to see, but again, you go back to if they would have gone to that conglomerate of 4 divisions in the Cahokia, Centralia would not have been in any different situation than they are right now, and I don't know that it would have passed the muster. So we'll see. I mean, because it may end up a situation that in a couple years that ends up playing out, or something. Again, like I said, they end up. If the Cahokia decides, hey, we want to go, and we're going to try to add Highland now, because Highland's in the same profile. Roughly 800 plus, 830 I think was the last number that I saw. So I mean, they fit size wise. I mean, and Highland was just in the conference with, Waterloo, Jerseyville, Civic. It's not uncharted territory there. So, but we'll just have to see how it plays out. Again, though, like you said, it's just sad that we're not going to see those games. Unless it is in the postseason, and in football that's not going to happen because they're different classes in all likelihood, and until different people get in charge of scheduling, I don't think we're going to see them in the regular season, at least in some in some cases. So
I agree.
You hinted at one, the Salem Wildcats transferred in. Obviously, I mean, it's a haul for Massac and even somewhat Murfreesboro. I mean, is there a chance that I've heard that there's like a 4-year where they can't like change the divisions or something like that, but do you think that they'll switch divisions as far as how that'll look? Or do you think Salem's just too big to be with like Nashville or Pinckneyville?
Well, I mean, and again, when the rumor was, or the thought was going around that Mount Carmel might come in as the 12th team, that was going to be with the caveat that they were going to redo the divisions, and there was going to be like a north and south as opposed to the way it's currently set up. I don't know. I don't see right now. For the most part, it size-wise, it matches up pretty well. The teams in the Mississippi are roughly the same size. The teams in the Ohio are roughly the same size. And so I don't foresee that change coming because I don't know how you make it make sense. Because if you go north, well, then you'd have Nashville, Pinckneyville, which are 2A football teams, and then that would put them in the same group with Salem. How does that how do you make that work? And again, I think that what it boils down to is I think that if you're the Ohio teams, you'd rather know that you're going to Salem every other year for football and for the other things, as opposed to we don't know who we're playing week 6 or week 4, and those games are so hard because everybody else is in conference play, and you may end up playing somebody either you have no business playing size-wise or travel-wise, or just you're playing a game to be a placeholder. And I think that the comfort of knowing, hey, we've got our conference filled. We know it's Salem, and again for football, it's every other week. And look, for lower levels, there's no need for a conference championship in fresh off JV. I mean, because again, at the end of the day, a lot of places are not having freshman football. They don't have the numbers, or it's just it seems silly to make the 3 bus trips. So play a half and a half. Combine the JV and the freshmen into one. I mean, that's just spitballing.
I'm gonna tackle another subject here. Does football survive in the South?
What do you mean survive?
I mean, I see it. We talked about Decatur Eisenhower. We talked about things. We talked about reasons to get kids to play football. Football is a hard sport. I'm just saying this out loud. I don't. You know me. I don't hold back. When you have less rivalries, when kids have to go to games that mean nothing to them, when they have to travel to Nowhereville to play nowhere, kids don't want to do that. Football's hard. Football, it's 100 degrees last week. You're out there on the turf. I just wonder, is football a sport in Southern Illinois? Yeah, DuQuoin's always going to have kids who want to play football. Marion's always going to have kids who want to play football. But some of these schools, do we keep, I mean, you've said, I'm not going to say these schools' names out loud, but some of the numbers in some of these towns, it's crazy low. Go back 10 years, go back 20 years. Right. Will football survive in the deep 618?
Well, and I think that, again, it does not take very long for programs to go south. And it takes a whole lot longer to build or especially rebuild. Mm-hmm. And we see that with some of our teams right now. And when things are not going well, the numbers go down. And then you have a situation where, you have coaching turnover. And when there's a lot of coaching turnover, again, you're having kids, learn 3 different systems in 4 years. That's not conducive to success. And then
doesn't help numbers.
And then if you don't have success, then they're not, you're not going to have the younger kids that are watching, growing up, wanting to go be X team, when I can't wait till I get to play there. And so, I mean, look, there's concern about, I mean, the overall concern of high school sports in general.
I know.
Versus the travel ball, model. And then when you start talking about specific sports, it can be. I will be interested to see, because right now to play 8-man football, the enrollment numbers have to be below a certain level.
Mm-hmm. Is that coming down here?
Well, I mean, but
Wasn't
that's
it rumored at Vienna a few years ago?
well, I mean, that's the whole. But Vienna Goreville is too many kids for the
Yeah.
enrollment for 8-man.
Yeah.
But my point is, will they have to get to a point that they bump that number up? And
Yeah.
will it be 400? I think it's 3 something now. I could look it up real quick.
But we have a lot of schools in our area that could do it.
But I mean, there was talk that I mean, I think Carlisle.
Yes.
They had a year where they weren't going to play, and then it was like they were going to end up going. But there's nobody in the South that play. Like the closest one is like Oblong, maybe.
Wow.
And
That's a shape.
And so. I mean, I'm not going to sit here and say that football's going away or whatever.
God, I hope not, Darren. I hope not. I love it too much.
The Chicago Bears going away, right?
I'm talking about my Bears.
I think that there will still be the high school football for the foreseeable future. I mean, the trend has been numbers lowering. A lot of it's safety concerns. A lot of it is sports specialization, which ultimately I don't think is good. I mean, it's when you see major leaguers, when you see the guys that have been pro at the top of their sport saying, "Look, specializing is not good. You need, number one, you need to give those particular muscles a rest, and it's good to go and compete in other sports." And so that, to me, might be the bigger threat, is just the uber specialization, and down the road. And again, how far down the road, I don't know. I mean, I just think that you had safety concerns. Those seem to, they've put some things in place, whether it's the big pads for the helmets, the lack of the
Frankfurt helmets,
the contact, the cut down on the amount of contact and things of that nature. But I don't know. I hope not. I'm with you in that I hope not. I don't think it'll be something that you or I would see
Right.
in our lifetime. And yes, I did lump you into the old man category.
I'm old.
So.
How about the positive stuff, though?
we got a lot of positive stuff.
Let's talk about these players.
Yeah, I mean,
Let's talk about we've been talking about hard stuff with Darren. Let's talk about the easy stuff now.
Well, do you want to what conference do you want to go first? I mean, we got the South
I want to
Seven.
talk about these returning players. We touched on it, and then we
We got the Black Diamond.
I veered us off into conference land.
You got the Cahokia. You got the SIRR. What conference are you thinking first?
I was just thinking about that.
Oh, the list of all South.
Yeah, all South. There's a lot of talent coming back. I know we graduated a lot of guys, but I'm looking at that list. Rush, you sent that just a minute ago back to us. If you look down, I mean, there are a lot of guys. I mean, Darren, you see a lot of these guys, obviously, where you live. But Jonathan Miller, I'm looking on there. Bloom Horse is the guy. What a stud he is.
Yeah.
I mean, he is a beast. If that guy doesn't
Both
play,
sides.
if he doesn't play major college football, and I don't know what his aspirations are, I've never interviewed him yet. So, Sam, if you want to come on sometime soon, you can. But I look at Aiden Adams. I look down there. Even me being a Benton guy, Watson, Saladas are back.
Logan Black is from Marion. I mean, he's
yes. I mean, there. I look down there. Marcus Lightson from JC. Seems like he's been playing for 20 years. He's just an animal. He's got a full beard when he was like 9.
we have Jacob Spence.
Yeah, Jacob Spence, who was just on the show a few weeks ago. There's a lot of talent coming back. I know that. Who was I looking down there? Kenny Bratton. I mean, Kenny Bratton. God, I'll never forget. My son's in 6th grade, and Brody's in 7th grade, and Kenny Bratton's in 8th grade. I'll never forget playing in a basketball shootout and Bratton dunks it like 3 times. Everybody's like, you don't see that a lot. Don't see that a lot. But I mean, there's some great guys that are back. I know we've graduated a ton of guys, and hope they all do the best in life if they're going to keep playing football, or if they're going to whatever they do. But let's talk about that, Darren. Some of the talent that's left in this area.
Oh yeah, I mean, just looking at this list that you've put together, and obviously, some, even the ones that are not on this list, but you have skill guys. You have more. What may be most important to coaches is you see several linemen that are back, and and that's going to be the ticket. And I mentioned Carterville graduating a bunch of linemen, but here's the thing: those guys went against those seniors every day. Yeah, in practice, and that makes a difference. And now it's not the same as you're now the guy, or you're now the unit on Friday nights, and it'll hit differently. But it's not like they haven't been going against quality guys in practice every day. So I mean, it's you look at the majority of your list on the returners, and they're all going to be seniors this year, other than the 2 Centralia guys, Guai and Bratton, and then we mentioned Jashawn Staple going there. He's not even on the list, and but he's certainly a guy that's going to be a
Crapped on a good running backs last year.
Yeah, I mean it's and again it's I'm not being critical, because I know when you make choices like this, it's like, well, if you don't like it, go make your own list. And
I love that.
I mean that's facts.
That's travel baseball. Go start your own team.
Well, yeah, my kid doesn't get to play shortstop and bat third. All right, we're gonna go start our own team. So. But that's the thing, though, is that's the nature of the beast. Nobody wants to do the work; they just want to complain about other people's work. But
I think thing about Carterville and Benton. I mean, obviously, me and Travis were Benton guys, so we'll talk good about Benton anytime. But the thing about Carterville and Benton is that Carterville and Benton, with Coach Groves and Coach Dial, they've obviously they've had programs, they built on them, and both teams lose their whole entire offensive line and 4-year starters on that offensive line. But I don't know, the thing about that is Coach Groves and Coach Dow. I mean, they built their programs up. They've been around great coaching. Groves with Jeff Roper. Dial, he played under Kerry Martin, was along Coach Druss for several years. I mean,
hey, where's Druss coach now?
Is he still at Benton?
Yeah, he's offensive line coach at Benton.
I mean, you got the offensive line coach and Dennis Druss at Benton. I mean, he's not going to let the offensive line just.
Well, but I think the important word there is program. That's the difference. That's the difference in, hey, we've got a really good class coming through, or, not being worried about everybody graduated, because, it's the next group's turn. And I go back in the day, when DuQuoin was kind of in its heyday, and Coach Al Martin was doing his thing, and they're winning games and going to state title games, and they had 100 kids out. And you're like, this is a school of 400 and, at that point, I think it was 450.
It's incredible, though.
Right. And so you think if it's half and half, that means there's 225 boys, and 100 of them are out for football.
That's unbelievable.
And so what happens is that unless you're really good, you don't get that opportunity as a sophomore, as a junior. You might if you're really good, you might they're good when they're playing as sophomores. Yeah. And so then by the time they're seniors, they're 2 or 3 year starters. But the other guys, when they finally do get their turn, they just like we were just talking about, they're going against those number 1 guys every day in practice. But then 2, it's now their turn to shine. And the other part is that they don't want to be the ones to let it slip. And so that's how a program is built. They grow up in 3rd, 4th grade. They may be in past years maybe throwing the little Nerf footballs in the end zone and playing around and all that. But don't think they didn't know that there was winning going on and that they wanted to be on when it was their turn, when they grew up, they wanted to be DuQuoin Indians, those kids. And so that, I think, was the operative word that you said, is a program. And so that, yes, you may have had a great class that graduated, but yet you've still got dudes coming up that are ready to take their turn in the spotlight because they've seen what it takes, and now it's their time.
I'm going to throw this out there, and we can dance around it or we can tackle it, but I'm just going to say this. There's some schools, and it's wild to me to think this, especially in the River to River, Mississippi this year, but 3 schools that stand out to me that have a program that just keeps winning. DuQuoin, Benton, and Nashville in football just win. They win. You go back and you can look at stats, you can look at records, you can look at the past however many years. Those schools have really, really developed a program. Then you look at on the other side of the division, go Ohio and Carterville. That's your team. I mean, Carterville. I know Harrisburg's trying to get back to where they once were, but when I look at the Ohio division, I mean, Carterville is the top. They're good year in and year out. And then I start thinking about the Black Diamond. I think, man, Johnson City has just developed into an unbelievable program. I mean, every year. When I think Black Diamond, I think Fairfield, JC. That just clicks in my mind every time. And if I'm forgetting some schools, you guys can help me out here. But I think about this stuff all the time with sports and who's doing well. Why have those schools that I've named, Darren? You cover these schools a lot. Those schools just keep winning in football.
Well, I mean, I want to stop for just a second and mention the fact of what Nashville has done across the board.
It's unbelievable.
Boys and girls, the fact that the success that they have had, the state championships that they have won, they have been to football state championship. They've won track state championships. They've won girls basketball. They've won softball. The baseball has been girl. They've won boys basketball or been there. It is mind-boggling to me. Again, this is a school of 400 plus kids that the success across the board. It's not just a football school or not just a basketball school. They've just had a tremendous run, and it's one of those things where it's not just a recent run.
No,
I mean, like I said, I've been doing this for 33 years, and Matt Varney and I were talking about some of the, he was putting together a list of coaching wins, and it's like, hey, don't forget Bruce Reeder at Nashville. I mean, they got to the state championship game, and he's won 130 games, blah 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 blah, and it's just like you think back, my gosh, those teams were really good, and so it's not a recency bias thing. I mean, anyway, that sidetrack of what you're saying, but again, it boils down to there is a level of expectation. If you're going to play in our program, you're going to do it the way that we do it. And that speaks to not just the coaching staff, but that speaks to the team leaders, the players. That is handed down from year to year, generation to generation, so to speak. This is how we do it. This is the expectation of this program. If you're going to put on this jersey, this is the way we're going to play. And when your best players or when your top players are your hardest workers, but they're the ones that can help police the ship. The coaches can obviously they're have great responsibility for play calling and play design and things of that nature, but they can't be the ones that are leading the culture per se, and that's where these schools that have had the sustained success, the kids, it's not just a new group of talent that moves up into the spotlight, but then they step into those leadership roles too, and they're bringing along the freshmen and sophomores and telling them that, okay, this is the way we do it, and whether that's verbal or whether that's just in action, that's how the program develops.
Sure.
I think that, you can just see that clearly through all these programs. It's how they have developed. It's not like they get to a plateau. As if you look at Coach Grove's program that he's built at Bent, it feels like, even though, he's only made it as deep as the quarterfinals, each team just feels like it gets better in some certain aspect. I mean, you can't even really point to what it is, but every year there's just something better about each of his teams, whether it's I hear at the players from this past year that played on the team after I graduated, the practices, they just keep getting better and more efficient every year. I mean, that's something that's big, is the efficiency at all these practices.
Continuity, man. Continuity, the efficiency. That doesn't happen. You've alluded to it earlier on the podcast and before we went on, talking about schools that are constantly have a rotating just door, right? A rotating door of coaches. It doesn't work, guys.
Yeah.
It doesn't work. I could sit here and name schools, and I won't. That's first for me. But I don't want to be a downer on the preview show, right? I don't want to be a downer. I want to be. I'm super stoked for football. I know stoked isn't a word that's used nowadays, Hunter, but there is something to be said for these schools. Brett Dowell's been there a long time. I know that's your neck of the woods. You know obviously Carterville area well. You look what Justin Groves has done here. You look what Dunning has carried on from what Kerry Martin did at obviously at Marion. You know, Coach Dunning was there a long time. These schools that are winning, there's a common theme. Now I know it's new at DuQuoin. I know it's new. DuQuoin's probably one of your schools that it's changed a little bit, you know, because obviously Al Martin, you can ask anybody that's been. It's no fun to follow Al Way. It's no fun to follow Al Martin. It's no fun to follow Rich Herron. It's these guys that are, the top of the mountaintop. But I'm impressed with DuQuoin because there was a little bit of a, let's be blunt. There was a little what's going to happen here, and they've kind of taken back off and made the playoffs several times. And I'm just impressed when I look at these schools, when those schools that I named. It seems, and talk about Marion in the South 7, there's something to be said for they're doing things right with football.
Well, and I think the other part is that, yes, the continuity is there because not only is it the head coach has been there for a long time, the staff.
Yes,
I mean,
staff,
when you
that's
look
good.
at it, it's not just the head coach. I mean, a lot of these guys, the staff, and we're talking about in football, you could have anywhere from, depending on the school, 5 to 8 assistant coaches. And
has a few more.
When
36.
when when you have that and they're the same group, they get on the same page and they all are pulling the same direction, and that makes such a big difference. But then also what I find with these coaches that have tenure, so to speak, that a long tenure is there's a willingness to keep learning and a willingness to adapt. I always got a kick out of, coaches, and again, same, not gonna, doesn't matter who, but you've seen the teams that, back in the day when the spread first came in, and by golly, we're gonna play spread. Well, your quarterback can't throw a spiral, so that's probably not great.
Right.
But you look at a guy like who just retired, last year, Kurt Simon.
Yes.
Kurt Simon, when he had a quarterback, he went 5 wide and we're chucking it. Those guys graduated and whoop,
That's right.
and now all of a sudden it's 3 yards in a cloud of dust.
He adapted.
That ability to adapt to your talent instead of pounding the talent into what you want to run, so to speak. I mean, it's so funny when I hear or see, well, we want to do this. Well, if you don't have the dudes to do this, you better figure out how to get the most out of those guys.
You better use your athletes.
And these successful programs, you see the guys that have been there for a long time, while the specifics or the what's the word I'm looking for? The way to do things doesn't change. What you're doing may change from year to year, and I think that's important. And I think that the best coaches are adaptable, and that goes all the way down the list because again, in a lot of these places you've got offensive coordinators, defensive coordinators. You got how everything is done in practice when you break apart positionally, and that's where football's a little different than the other sports, is that you have, some specialization in the coaching in some cases. So,
What do you think about? You wanted to talk about it. Let's go through the conferences.
So the conferences, we talked about it a little bit. Obviously, it changed, but South 7. just clicked on the Black Diamond somehow. With the South 7, I mean, it's down to 5 teams again. But you got Cahokia, Marion, Carbondale, Mount Vernon. I mean, every year those teams have expectations. I mean, Darren, you went to a practice for Mount Vernon just a few days ago. I mean, Carbondale, I mean, the expectations there.
Well, and again, we talked at the, probably 35 minutes ago, about Centralia, being the, being the team that would feel like, if you were going to look at it and go, yeah, that's a team that's Carbondale's right there too, and you look at Carbondale's, they got a senior quarterback guy that's been. Davin Woolley that has been their guy for, I think he played some as a sophomore. You got a big old lineman in Joe Friedrich who's getting Power 4 offers.
He just got 17.
I was gonna say he's up to like 17 now. Wow. And Javion Oliver's a guy on the outside. In the game against Mount Vernon, he had a 99-yard kickoff return, so he's a guy that can score from anywhere on the field. And then you have, you've got other linemen other than Big Joe. I mean, they've got other key returners. You got the list here, including Zeke Langen and Andrew Miller. I mean, when you have that experience and that size, I mean, that's going to be big. And then you get another one of the transfers, and that's Keegan Shields from Murfreesboro that comes over. And so he's just a sophomore, and so he's going to give them another weapon out of the backfield. And so Carbondale has a ton of reason to be optimistic as well. And again, Cahokia feels like they're going to be Cahokia. That every year they're going to be a physical bunch that's going to be tough to deal with. And and I don't think that's going to change. And so Highland being the newcomer, you don't know necessarily what you're going to get. They weren't. I think they went to the playoffs last year. I think they were 6-3, lost in the first round. Traditionally, this is a team that has been pretty dang good.
Yes.
And
they
produced the worst guy in the NFC North, that tight end. I mean,
Sammy Laporta.
Marion used to play them week 2, and I remember Samuel Laporta. Seeing him and just going, oh, okay.
That's an athlete.
Yeah. And so I think Highland brings an interesting mix, or an interesting skill set to the mix. And again, Marion is going to be in some transition when, we talk about Woolley being a 2 or 3 year starter, and Marion loses that. And so with Callahan Roper, who set almost every record they had, and some of the weapons are going.
It's Matt Brown.
Look, and when you're breaking Matt Brown's records, you've put together a pretty good career, because that he had a heck of a run. And again, Mount Vernon, their first team is going to be able to compete, and it's just a matter of can you stay healthy, and can you keep the guys on the field. And so I think the South 7, honestly I think it's going to be,
my goodness,
it's going to be very
firing off.
very
Gotta
tough.
fix it. Let's talk about Marion a little bit. You talked about Carbondale having so many returners back. Marion, who's had a ton of success in the South 7. It's a big year for Jason Dunning. I'm just going to say it. It's a big year for him, and he knows the expectations.
He said it's very similar to his first year with a sophomore group coming in.
This is a very, very talented group. He told us, having a son that's the same age as these guys and has played against these athletes forever, this sophomore class has a lot of expectations, very similar to Callahan Roper and Eunice Thomas and
Sam Atkins
and
Blake Winters,
the pitcher Henry.
Alex
Henry. There was a lot when those guys were sophomores for Marion. This group with DeVore and with
Peyton
Dunning, Vance Burford, who's like the fastest guy ever. Brody played baseball with him for years. This is a very talented group of athletes at Marion, and Jason knows this. People aren't going to feel sorry for you.
No.
People aren't going to go, sorry, Marion.
Right, and especially when you've had guys that have been multi-year standouts, I mean, number one, they show up in May to make sure that they walk across the stage and graduate, and know that they're not going to be around anymore. And so look, as soon as last season was over, the attention gets turned to who's going to replace these guys, and so that you have all summer to work on it. And again, you can do all the summer stuff you want. It still ain't the same as Friday night. You come out, you run through the tunnel, lights are out there, and so there will be a learning curve, and how fast everybody gets on the same page, and how fast they can put it all together. And again, like you said, when you have a bunch of younger kids, there's going to be growing pains.
Yes.
There's going to be rough patches this year, and we talked about, I think it was before we came on the air. We've been on the air for 8 hours, but I think
Baez got hit by a pitch.
He didn't strike out.
Hey, that means the OBP is going up. The OBP is going up.
So it's one of those things where you've got you're figuring out the way to do things, and with high school kids, you're talking about 15, 16, 17-year-old kids. You don't know what you're necessarily going to get day to day.
Right.
Well, if you're a young club, that's a bunch of 15-year-olds.
Yeah.
And
They don't drive yet.
Some of them may not even be able to drive to practice, and so there's going to be growing pains, and that's I guess if there is a silver lining, even though nobody would necessarily go, oh, hey, well, we kept going to the playoffs, even though we were 4-5. If there's
We were 2-7 when
if there was a silver lining to that, this is not a bad year for that to have happened.
Right.
Again, not that they're shooting for that. Obviously the goal is to, hey, we want to get to 6 wins and or to 5 wins and do that. But the fact is that the pressure is not as great as it has been. That, hey, my gosh, we've got to figure out a way that we've got to come up with 5 wins and and all this and that, and again, that's not going to change the day-to-day approach.
No.
I mean, it changes what guys like us sit and talk about, but at the end of the day, it doesn't change how they will go about coaching those kids every day and how they will approach the game nights. But again, at the same point, they can be really talented, but that doesn't necessarily mean that, especially with young guys, that's necessarily always going to show out completely. And there may be one of those things where, we've seen it, whether it's college or, even professionally, when you've got a young team. Cardinals are a great example. You got a bunch of young guys, things start going well. I mean, all of a sudden it's a big surge, a wave of momentum. But if things don't go well, the opposite is also true. And so
You're not battle tested when you're young like that.
And the peaks and valleys are much bigger. And that's why, Coach Heron would always say, can't get too high, can't get too low, big guy. And there was a reason for that.
Sure.
And, when you're experienced, you kind of level some of those things out. So, I think the goods will be really good, and I think the struggles will be real. And it's just, and if it's not, it's a great year. And then the future looks really good because you got all these dudes coming back for the next year or two. So
Let's go Black Diamond next.
Well, before we get off Marion, I want to say, whenever I talked to Coach Dunning at practice and we had him on the show, I mean, something big for him was bringing back Logan Black and Marcus Hazel. He said, those have just been 2 guys that have been really good leaders so far this summer. I mean, Logan Black, he was one of the All-South guys for us. And then Marcus Hazel, obviously, he was one of the top running backs. A lot of people didn't realize it, but it's hard to see it when you got Callahan Roper, Junius Thomas, Sam Atkins. But Marcus Hazel was one of the top running backs in the area last year. And Coach Dunning was saying that's one of the big things that he's excited for is that those guys, they've been playing since their freshman year. And that's just very important to have those leaders come back.
Well, and again, they're the next group that steps in. And, it's like, are you going to bring all the intangibles necessarily like that Callahan Roper brought to practice and those things. Maybe not. I mean, he may come in and these guys may end up being better leaders. I mean that, but the voices will be different, and the listeners are different. So in how that all works together is it's fascinating to kind of watch, and that's what makes it neat. Is for us is that we kind of get to sit back and watch. And when it how it grows and how they move forward.
Sounds good.
It's the Black Diamond Conference.
Yeah, we're not going to we're finishing into the Mississippi because that's the most loaded logjam there is in football this year. I mean, it is. I've never seen 4 teams that can win a conference. Let's go Black Diamond.
Obviously, I mean, you got the JC Indians, the Florida Wolves, Fairfield Mules, SVW, Red Devils. I mean, those are 4 teams that everybody knows in the conference. But obviously, I mean, Red Hill is in there, CZRE, El Dorado, Edwards County, Hamilton County, Carmi White County. I mean, I thought they were going to become a super conference at one time. But, obviously, you got those 4 top teams that everybody knows. But
I think there's a distinct difference between those top 4 and everybody else.
Then you got that 5th team there's always a wild card team.
Yeah, I mean, in the past, I would say that the Diamond has been a 3-tiered group. You've got the top 2 or 3. You've got the middle group that's fighting for the playoff spot, and then you have the ones that are struggling on the bottom third. This year, I mean, you look at each one of the contenders, lost some significant talent, and when you look at Johnson City, they're another one that's replacing a quarterback that's been there for. Been their starter for a couple years. They're replacing, some linemen that were road graders, man.
Yeah.
I mean that's been the strength, and one of the reasons why the Indians have been so good is that their line play, no matter which group it has been year after year, is just so, it's so good, and so, but they lost some weapons
And graduate a 3,000-yard rusher.
Right, and so, but again, we mentioned Marcus Lightson. This is a guy that feels like he's been around since '08, and but he's going to be more than likely the focal point of the offense
And defense.
And yeah, he's a monster in the middle of their defense. But again, where they have really their calling card has been the line, both sides, and at the end of the day, you don't get a 3,000-yard rusher if you don't have, I don't care how good if the line's not any good, we watched back in the day, NFL, Barry Sanders was great, but there were, there were days when it just didn't happen because the Lions, by and large, were terrible. And
R.I.P. Wayne Fonts. R.I.P. Wayne Fonts.
But Flora had kind of a storybook season. I mean, they were the last team standing from the South, and that was after picking up the first win in school history, first playoff win in school history. And they've got to replace a couple of stalwarts on the line and their quarterback, who was just nails in the postseason. I mean, Parker Helm was unbelievable. I mean, and
He was kicking field goals too.
well, and it's not just throwing touchdown passes and kicking extra points and game-winning field goals, and and again that he was a guy that, again, those type of leaders that everybody rallied behind. But they've got some dudes back. I mean, Cormac Massey in the backfield. I mean, this dude's just a monster. Kind of that old throwback, big fullback.
John Riggins. I'm going John Riggins.
But on the outside, Keelan Crawford and Gage Dugan on the outside, you're not going to find any better athletes in the conference than they've got. I mean, Crawford won state in the high jump. And last year he's a touchdown waiting to happen. Dugan, and they both play in the secondary as well, and they're ball hawks. So, I mean, Flora has a chance, and again, they're that team that has kind of come along, and these guys that are stepping in, they've seen the success. They've seen what it takes to make that next level. Fairfield, they were the gold standard, for a long time. And again, this shows you where the program's at when it's a struggle when you're 5-4 or you're 6-3.
That's a good problem for some schools.
Oh,
you know,
I mean that just shows you where Justin Townsend has his program is, and again, 6-3. I mean that's a good season, and so they've got some guys back, and Michael Barner's a guy that put up a lot of big numbers for. On the ground for the Mules, and he's back, so they've got a chance. And then you look at SVW is one of those perennial contenders, same type deal. You've got CZRE with the fact that you break through last year, and break the losing skid, and not only do that, but then you go and you make the playoffs, and now they've got the second year under Mike Rood, and
all he does is win.
And
all he does is win.
I mean, and again,
Coach
this
Rood.
is a guy that when I talked about the other coaches, this is a guy that has done it. This is what, year 52, I think.
Yes.
And he is not afraid to change styles.
No.
I kind of thought he would, when he took over, I kind of wondered if he would go back to the old when he came into Vienna, the stuff that, the old school stuff that, nobody runs anymore, and he didn't. And that doesn't mean he's not going to, I haven't been up there.
I would say he adapts to his athletes.
But again, figuring out what's the best way to put your guys in the best case. And then I think that, the battle's going to be, El Dorado lost some key players, and
Especially with Henson.
They were 3-6, but they're a whisker away from being 5-4 and in the playoffs. So
this year they're in.
well, yeah, potentially.
That's one of those teams. If you're looking at the playoffs this year, if you would have had El Dorado come in, that's one of those teams you're scared of, though, because I believe they have like 4 or 5 games they lost by a touchdown.
A lot of close games.
Yeah, and so they were right there, and they would have had the opportunity to kind of flip that script. And Hamilton County and Carmi both struggled last year, and if you're those clubs, you're trying to get it turned around, because if you have too many of those back to back to back, then like we were talking earlier, it does not take long for it to be in a really tough place to get it to come back.
Yes.
One good thing about Hamco is I say they got a lot of young guys. I mean, they had a freshman that led the team in tackles last year. They had a sophomore quarterback. They had a sophomore skill guy. I mean, I think that Hamilton County is definitely going to be a team that will be interesting to look at, with just because, those 3 guys.
One of Hamilton County's best players is at Benton now.
Who's that?
Wilkerson.
Wilkerson. I didn't realize that he moved
Dylan
to.
Wilkerson's starting for Benton probably this year.
You should have let me know about that.
Sorry, I just saw it. I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
You had me send out the roster.
My bad, Russ. Still love you, buddy. Yeah, he's at Benton.
So Dylan,
Hunter.
The
hosts start fighting.
No, I'm sorry. My bad, Russ.
well, Dylan Wilkerson from Hamilton County is
he's a
now
Benton Ranger now.
Yeah.
Well, and but the point being is there you talked about.
I'm sorry.
But we talk about the young guys. Yes, they took their lumps last year, but that experience is so crucial, and so hopefully, they can build on it and and move forward. Because again, at the end of the day, you need all parts of the conference to be competitive, because nobody
It doesn't help anybody.
No, because you need those tough games. I just don't think that you gain much when you're winning 50-0. There's just your young guys get some playing time, but I just don't. When the bottom of conferences can raise up and be competitive,
Like in El Dorado.
that raises the level of the whole league for sure.
100%.
Yeah, that's like in El Dorado last year. They didn't let Flora just win easily at El Dorado. They didn't let JC. I feel like JC. They always that first half. I feel like every time JC goes to play at El Dorado, it's no easy pickings. No. It's just like when it's not the rivalry that Benton and West Frankfort is. But Travis knows it as much as I do. When Benton goes down to Frankfort,
Cardinals just lost.
The Cardinals lost.
God bless America.
Hunter called the walk-off.
Never wrong.
But it's just like Benton and Frankfort. When Benton goes down to Frankfort always gives us a heck of a first half.
I was going to say this too, and I get a chance. I was just thinking about this. Flora has a tremendous group of sophomores. Only reason I know this is I'm just
Oh yeah, I
being
forgot.
straight up. Last year we were looking for a freshman game, and Benton, I don't know, about 8, went to Flora. Tremendous. By the way, had never played a football game there before. Really nice setup. I was impressed with the whole place. And I'm there a little early, talking to some dads, end up talking to their AD, talking to the coaches, and they're really banking on this sophomore class. I think they might have went undefeated as freshmen, and they were willing to play anybody. They didn't care. Obviously, Benton's a bigger school than Flora. Their coaches said, we'll play whoever. We're looking for games against, if you don't have a good team, you're not looking for bigger schools to play. So they're expecting a lot from their incoming sophomores, kind of like a Marion is with their sophomores. But just something that just kind of clicked in my head because I saw that, speaking of preseason polls that everybody does, but the one that came out on Ballin4God today, obviously with us, is Florida was ranked 10th. That kind of surprised me a little bit because sometimes, this, Darren, from covering 33 years down here, sometimes Florida gets forgot about in the Deep South.
Well, sure, and they're the newest team in the Black Diamond, and for years they were part of the North Egypt, and so that was a group that was to the north of this, and I was just up there yesterday, and it's
your homeland.
From Carterville. Yeah, I mean that's back in my neck of the woods, growing up.
That's a haul from Carterville.
Well, it was $1.45 up there, and so for all those years, I mean, I grew up basically in between Salem and Flora. If you're just thinking about it, but we never went to Flora. My dad worked in Salem, and so anything that we would always go to Salem, and so. In fact, last year was the first time I had covered a game at Flora, and it turned out to be a good year to cover Flora. And
they're good.
That first round playoff game was memorable. I mean, that when they beat Nashville, and it's the first one in program history, is tremendous. And just but then to turn around the next week and to beat Pana,
That's huge.
On the last second field goal.
A perennial powerhouse, Pana.
Yeah, I mean, Pana is no stranger to the postseason, and
No.
it's like what a testament it was to those kids to not go, well, we got our
we got one.
we got the playoff win, and but they didn't settle for that, and they went up, and the score was lopsided against Maroa Forsyth, and but they had opportunities early to stay in it, and just things didn't go their way. But again, for that group, that was a big thing to be able to experience. And those kids that come back, they have that, and they know what it takes to get to that level. And again, the Black Diamond does not have a ton of playoff wins outside of the conference. You know what I'm saying?
I know.
And to beat a river school, to beat a South Central school, that's big.
Mm-hmm.
And so for those young kids to for them to play Benton, even if it's a sophomore game, it's still that's important to see. Okay, well, this is what it looks like, with a bigger school. So,
all right, Russ, we're going to the SIRR, baby.
We're skipping over the Cahokia?
I mean, we can talk Cahokia.
I mean,
we already talked Centralia.
I mean, are you having breakfast catered here, or? We already talked Centralia.
We already talked Centralia.
I don't know if you want to talk Chester or Sparta or anything.
I mean, I think that, in the...
I like Sparta. I like to talk to little Sparta.
And look, and I think that in that other division, I mean, I think that Sparta, the fact that, there were a lot of things going on, and some of their guys were going to be elsewhere, and now it seems like they're all staying, or at least that's the... that appears to be the case, and if they do stay, they're going to be a problem.
Yeah.
And they were a whisker away from, getting in last year, and
this year they're going 4 rounds.
Yeah. But I mean, they were, they're playing Frankfurt week 9, and basically it was a play-in game, and. I mean, they've got weapons. They're going to be a problem. And, Chester's got a strong tradition. They, again, like everybody else, they lost some significant talent, including
quarterback
Trey Peters at quarterback, who was, also, a factor at safety. Dupo, the Deegan Prater was one of the better kids that I saw all season, both sides of the ball. He was a force. He graduated, so they've got some holes to fill. And it'll be interesting to see how does Westland bounce back. How does Carlisle, what do they have to offer? But I think potentially it could come down to Sparta and Chester, the old river to river group. And that's fitting. There were the two Mississippi schools. So the SIR Mississippi running really deep.
Running deep.
Yes, running deep this year.
Let's go, Ohio Division. Let's go, bud. I've been waiting for this all night.
Ohio Division.
Yeah, we ain't going Mississippi last. Mississippi last.
I mean, we're kind of segue into a little bit of Mississippi with Carterville, a past Mississippi team.
Talking Ohio Division.
Talking Ohio, but Carterville, obviously, they went 10-1 this past year, and it was a really good team. I mean, they got matched up against Sacred Heart in the second round. That's hard.
Well, and unfortunately that's the nature of 4A and 5A. I mean that's what
Men. You're playing men.
Well, I mean, yeah. I mean, you're looking at, and that's why I think it's important that Carterville plays a Marion week 1.
They need it, don't they? To make a run in the postseason.
I do. And honestly, and I don't know anything about their scheduling or anything like that, but I mean, Bree Central seems to make a lot of sense. Again, these are teams you're potentially gonna see. You better figure out how that you're not shocked. And the thought that Sacred Heart could still be in 4A is numbing, because if Sacred Heart's there, then Rochester's probably there.
Yeah.
And so you're talking about. 4A is just an absolute bloodbath, and you better be ready for it. And I think that's where, and again, the one advantage to or another advantage to this playoff setting is, hey, maybe I schedule Rochester week 2, or week 3. It's not gonna.
Still gonna make the playoffs.
I still feel very good. We're gonna make our playoffs, but by golly, I mean, you guys.
No, I get it.
You guys have heard me a lot in whether it's the Facebook Lives on Friday night or the other podcast. There is no substitution for scheduling. Scheduling matters, boys. Mm-hmm. And yes, you can be 9-0, but that doesn't always translate.
No.
And and that's not saying that those that are 9-0. Don't be coming for me with the pitchforks. I mean, things happen. But at the end of the day, if you have the ability to upgrade the schedule, I don't ever think that's a bad idea. No. The only thing that'd be a bad idea is if you're, if you're Carterville in 4A and you're like, okay, well, we're going to end up playing, some 7A school or 6A school where you might end up hurt. I mean, I just think you've got to play, because at some point
you get to play them anyways.
In 4A, you're going to have to go through Rochester. Yep. I mean, that's the nature of the beast. So you better figure out what they're doing and how they're doing it. We've seen Rochester, take out everybody that we've had, so to speak, from
nobody down here.
Wing being from the south. The only one that wasn't was the year that they played at Heron.
Yep.
And it was like everything that could have possibly factored in positively for Heron. Windy day and all the other home really good teams. And I think was it 21-12, something like that. But by and large, most of the times that Rochester has played a team from our area, it has not ended well, and it's not been close.
And when Murphy went up to state a few years ago, they didn't have to face Rochester.
Well, and again, it's all about the way the bracket worked out. And if you tell anybody, and this is no disrespect, and I know when everybody says that, it usually means disrespect is coming, but that's not the case. But if you told somebody you've got to go to Effingham to go to state, everybody would take it. And it's not about Effingham, it's the fact that it's not Rochester. I mean, and so again, it's about the bracket, and I think that year Rochester was 5A, and again they sit on that 4A 5A. I mean, I think that I think everybody would be happier, in the 4A group if they knew that Rochester was going to be 5A. There would be no complaints lodged. But we just don't know that until pairings night.
So I'm going to say this, Darren. Everyone expects Carterville to be the top of the Ohio division. Let's be blunt. Who's after them? I mean, I can name every school in the Ohio division, but come on. I mean, seriously, is it going to be Murfreesboro? Harrisburg's supposed to be a lot better.
And
Harrisburg
Massac.
sophomores were very good. Massac's supposed to be better.
I think it will be a battle for
Murphy. Is Murphy going to bounce back? They lost
Murphy will
Shields
be
to
different.
Carbondale.
You know, you lose some guys, and then you lose the guy that was going to be the feature back more than likely. So you've got, but they've known this, so they've had all summer to kind of plot and change the approach. So I mean, I honestly I think it is a free for all. I mean, I think Heron will be better. I mean, I think
Hey, we see them
I think that
when this podcast comes out the next day.
I think that, again, consistency. Coach Lieber getting a second year. I think, what the expectations are for the kids. And again, I think he said that the numbers were, I talked to him over at the Colt World Series, and the numbers were better because it didn't end very well at the end of the season, like we were talking earlier. And so, I mean, Massac's a team that was better last year. And
You returned D. Carruthers. I mean,
yeah, I mean, D. Carruthers is a monster, and you're going to get a heavy dose of D. And so again, Harrisburg figures to be better, and I just think that I mean, and Carterville's got questions. It's not as if. It's
not a given to go 9-0.
Well, yeah, but it's not like, oh, well, they've got 16 starters back. I mean, they've got some holes. They've got some really good returning pieces, but they have some things to figure out, and the schedule's not easy for them early. You're opening with Marion and Nashville, and Nashville's better. I mean, and they got a lot of dudes back from, a year ago, and so. I do think that Carterville is the favorite, and then I think it is going to be an absolute battle for everything after that.
you throw Salem into the mix too. I mean, Salem, they don't have a bad football program by any means.
They never have, no.
And then Trey Clark, I was looking at some stuff. Trey Clark was an 1,000-yard rusher coming back for Salem, and that's just.
And they're an unknown for most of the people down here because
there's no book like
nobody's seen them. And so it is going to be different. Yeah. And
I think that'll play into Salem's advantage over the other schools.
Yeah, I mean, obviously it's
sure.
It's better to it's better to be the one that nobody knows. But at the same point, the book is blank for them too. On every one of their opponents. So. So yeah, I mean, again, you don't know what to expect with them, but again, I think they're going to be in that mix as well. I really think that it is going to be a battle, and I don't know that Carterville can go, oh well, we'll be 5-0. I think that potentially that's there, but I think that everybody else is.
You can see. I think that something that I think I've talked to you about this. I think both of you guys, all four of us have talked about this. Southern Illinois sports. Football. It's not like there's just one team that's better than everybody else.
No.
Everybody's pretty close, and you could see I feel like you could see more upsets this year.
Well, and I think that's what plays into the fact of, we talked earlier about Centralia moving, and it wasn't like they were, it's not like they're getting dominated by the bigger schools. I don't think the gap between Marion, Mount Vernon, and Carbondale and Carterville, and even now the top of the Mississippi with as good as it is, I don't know that gap is that big, and then you're like, well. How, Johnson City's recent success, Flora, where would they fit in on the spectrum of this? And I just don't know that the gap is that big between the top teams in each one of these divisions. I just don't. I think now when you get down 3, 4, 5, I think there's probably quite a bit bigger gap there.
Okay, now here's where I'm going to go. Took me 2 hours to get to it, and I'm excited. River to River, Mississippi division. I've been around high school football a long time. Not quite 33 years like Darren, but my first year on the radio was long time ago, right? I've never seen a conference where legitimately 4 teams can win a conference. I'm not in a conference down here, not in a conference with 5 or 6 schools, but legitimately, when you talk Nashville, when you talk DuQuoin, when you talk West Frankfort, when you talk Benton, that's 4 teams. And I know it's just the Ballin4God preseason ranking, but that's 4 teams in your top 8, right? 4 of your top 8 of the 10 are all in the same
3
conference.
in the top 5.
3 in the top 5. That does not happen very often. Darren, what's your thoughts on the Mississippi?
Oh, I think that it's the depth there is really really impressive, and when you're looking at the fact that you could put all 4 in a hat and draw one out and maybe have a better chance of picking the winner, because you're right. I mean, it is going to be an absolute bloodbath. I really think that, and I think sometimes I overuse that term, the bracket of death or whatever.
Oh, I like it.
But I do think that the Mississippi is the one that each week is gonna be a problem.
Yeah.
And Pinckneyville and AJ will be better, I think.
I think they will be too.
I think that obviously Pinckneyville, lost the McConnells, but again, you're talking about a program trying to develop, and that certainly won't help. But you're in a situation where another year under the Coach Lott's system and being able to kind of, stick in there. DuQuoin will be different.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, you're losing 2 electric players in Jonathan Brown and Jeremiah Jones, who were a threat to score from anywhere on the field.
Yes.
Both sides.
Yeah, potentially in special teams. I don't think they will have that sort of dynamic, but I think they will be better equipped in some ways to, run clock, be able to grind people out, and then the fact that, their receivers are big.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, obviously McConnell's 6'6", and he's getting recruited as a tight end, but their other receivers are big kids too, and so they're not the the sprinters like Jeremiah, who was a 60-yard touchdown waiting to happen, but I think they might be in position where they can do things a little bit differently. Again, it goes back to how do they adjust? How does the attack look different when we don't have, that kind of, and Coach Spain told us that Aiden Henderson's going to be the quarterback. He said, look, if we don't have an all-timer at quarterback this year, he probably starts as a sophomore. So, again, now this is a guy that gets his turn, and so you look at Nashville. They obviously they lost to Florida in round 1 of the playoffs, but you're talking about. It's a sophomore quarterback. It's it's a freshman. Kazuzik's a freshman that does a little bit of everything for them, and a lot of the line was young, and so those dudes are all back. And
Odin Diedrich.
Right, and Diedrich is a force on both sides of the ball, and then you've got Benton, who's kind of been the you talk about they've been so good for so long, but when you continue to graduate, that. Again, everybody has that, so nobody's going to feel sorry for Benton because they had 19 kids graduate last year. But those 19 kids set the table for this group that's coming in. And so while on the surface you may go, well, these other 3 maybe, look, again, until the champ's down, that's again, I just think that all 4, I will be stunned if the winner of the conference goes unbeaten.
Oh yeah.
I think we.
West Frankfort. We haven't even talked about them yet, but
right, and we're getting there.
Frankfort is. This is the season they've all talked about. They've been talking about.
Didn't they say the kids were saying there's 90 kids in their class. Mm-hmm. There's probably about 45 boys, and they said 21, 22 kids on the football team.
Yeah.
In a 90-kid class.
This is the class. I work with Tyson Samples. Obviously, his son's Chris, really nice player, and these guys. This is when they've been the upper class, they've always talked about how good they are. They don't lose very often. So now it's different when it's 6th grade football and 7th grade football and 8th grade football.
No, but these guys won. They got taste of it last year. And again, they've got some guys that are going to be problems week in, week out. Whether it's running back, whether it's throwing the ball, they have the ability to do both. And the fact that they have a dual threat quarterback,
Lucas Parker's a player,
makes them difficult to deal with. And so whenever you can be that dynamic, it makes such a difference. Just in the fact that the other teams, have to prepare differently for you, and you can give, okay, if this isn't working tonight, then hey, we'll try this. And to have that versatility is incredible. And again, it's not like Frankfurt was 6-3 last year. They get beat in the first round of the playoffs. So it's not like, oh well, this is a group that we think they're going to be good, but they're really kind of unproven. No, they've proven they can win. And they got 6 wins last year. That doesn't mean, it doesn't guarantee it for this year, because like I said, week in, week out, it's going to be difficult. But at the same point though, that's good experience. And again, it's going to be, you might end up seeing a 3-way tie. The way everything, and I don't mathematically if it could go. I don't know if I'd have to sit and think about it for a minute. But if they all ended up 3-2.
I really do think that you could see the top 2 teams going 4-1, and the middle of the pack teams go 3-2. I mean, it's possible, and I think I don't know. I wouldn't be shocked if there was. The conference is going to be really fun to watch this year. I mean, there's no questions about it.
Well, I mean, usually before the season, you can point to, okay, week 4, I'm going to be. I probably want to be here.
Yeah.
I mean, every week in the conference is going to be, I'm pretty sure if I remember right, every week in the Mississippi there's going to be a game that, hey, I want to see that game.
Yeah.
And sometimes there's going to be 2. and again, that when you have that kind of depth in the conference, it helps, and you hope that it helps buoy the level of play, that it has a positive effect for the postseason as well. It's like, hey, look, we've had to be good week after week after week, because there is no letdown in the conference. And how the preseason stuff goes, whether it's high school, college, whatever. I mean, everybody's excited, everybody's optimistic, and everybody's conference is absolutely loaded. And there are times when that's not true. I mean, but it certainly is the case here. I mean, it is deep. It's a talented group, and it's going to be fun to not have a rooting interest to watch how it all shakes out.
I will say this thing. I haven't put it on the whole show, but I will say this much: as long as number 7 plays for Benton, as long as Drew. As long as Drake Porter's playing at Benton, Benton's got a chance against anybody.
Yeah.
As long as McConnell and a guy like those, when I think of athletes that are game changers that can switch a score 2 or 3 touchdowns themselves, McConnell's a kid like that at DuQuoin. Porter's a kid like that at Benton. I think you have more. This is just me. I think you have more balance at Nashville. You have more balance at West Frankfort. I can name 8 to 10 players for both those schools. But McConnell is a Division I type athlete. Porter, who knows what his ceiling is going to be. From what he's done is just his first 2 years. It's going to be very interesting to see that conference shake out, because if they're healthy, I mean, Drake Porter's going to have a line, and a lot of that line is brand new. It's a whole brand new offensive line. You're only returning a couple guys on defense, but I'm telling you, man, ask Nashville in the sectional last year. He's just a sophomore, and he goes off and scores about 30 points, as a 6-foot post player. Just reality. I mean, those type of kids are you don't see that all the time.
No, and the fact that he did what he did last year as a sophomore. I mean, just to step in and to do those kind of things, the moment wasn't too big, and
scary.
And so now it's that luxury of bringing that experience back at quarterback, and again, he's one of your best running backs, and he knows how to, he's a winner. I mean, that's at the end of the day, that's what it boils down to. And but the thing that you like about that is his competitiveness, and not everybody with great talent is super competitive.
Right.
I think he's got both, and I think that's, now the question is, the supporting cast.
Sure. That's the big if in this town.
Well, and again, I mean, and it's the next group's turn, and how quickly they develop will determine whether this ends up being an 8-1, 7-2, or 5-4 team. And,
Sure.
And again, you mentioned it. He's got to stay healthy, and it's no different than
Playing both sides of the ball.
When we talked about the Mount Vernon C.J. Hughes distro. I mean, if he stays healthy, I mean, their ceiling's a lot different because he's a game changer, and Drake's the same way. Yeah. Drake's the same way.
I mean, doesn't that sound out to you though? Yeah. When I look at the conference, Nashville has a ton of guys. Frankfurt, I mean, I can sit there and I can name them all off between the Allen twins and Lucas Parker and Spence and Hefner and Samples. I mean, there's just a ton of guys there. Nashville, we could just sit here and we've named a bunch of them already, but at DuQuoin, big receivers this year. Miller and McConnell are big. Obviously, McConnell's 6'6".
Hawkins.
And Hawkins is a big dude. Leighton Hawkins. I think that it'll be a different. Will the athletes win out or will the depth win out? That's what I'm thinking.
Well, and again, you're talking about.
What are you laughing at? Hunter, what are you laughing at?
He's looked at me 4 times and just laughed.
Hey, horns down over there with your Texas hat.
Something I as a Benton
2
guy.
2 hours and 10 minutes in, horns down.
Something I've noticed at Benton is, I mean, you can tell me if Tyler did, but the last 4 quarterbacks, I mean, you had Grant Gordon there, but at Benton, you've had Hamilton Page, who started as a sophomore, Keegan Glover started as a sophomore, Tiffin Kazuka started as a sophomore, Drake Porter started as a sophomore, and did Tyler start as a sophomore? Or
Started as a sophomore. The only one that didn't in there is Spike Button, senior year only.
Spike Button, yeah, Spike Button. So 5 quarterbacks, 5 out of Benton's last 7 quarterbacks.
There was someone a year before Grant Gordon. Might have been
There was?
one of the Rocks. Cameron Rock, maybe? One of the Rocks was the quarterback.
Right. Benton's got Benton's.
I mean, I've been around football for a while.
Benton's had a lot of experience with their quarterbacks starting
sure.
as sophomores, and I just think that's really interesting. I don't know, Coach Groves. I mean, I think that he's got it going. I mean, going into my sophomore year, I mean, everybody's question, man, what's Benton going to look like when our Glover's out there, and you get Zach Howell, you get all Chase Thomas, Reed Baumgart. What's Benton going to look like? Benton follows it up with an 8-1 season and keeps making the playoffs. And Coach Groves, I think he's got it going over there, and that's no Benton bias.
Well,
Stats
no,
are stats.
I mean, the results are
Numbers don't lie.
Yeah.
But the interesting thing is that of the 4, DuQuoin is the only one of the 4 that's got a new quarterback, but yet he comes, with pretty good credentials.
Yes.
So, and so that's an interesting caveat to this. And the one thing about DuQuoin is that they're probably a little bigger up front than they've been.
Yeah,
for a while.
for sure.
And that's one thing that when I was at practice and talking with Coach Spain, it was like, you got some size this year. And so it's a different line. They had more athletic line, which kind of fit also when you've got guys that are, that are so fast that, you don't have to be road graders per se. You just got to give them enough of a crease and they're gone. And so now it's a little different look. I think you probably see a little more power approach from DuQuoin.
Especially with Aiden Adams in that backfield.
Man, he's a beast.
And
He's
again,
a beast.
yeah, and again,
Fire hydrant, man.
well, and then when you're talking about having a Tyler McConnell or the Hawkins, the big guys on the outside, well, now you've got 2 legit more blockers, and and all of a sudden it's like you're a road grader by committee, but with the ability to throw it a little bit. So again, I think it's going to be fascinating. And again, Nashville is you talk about Coach Groves, but I don't know that Nashville. I don't know that Steven Kazuzik and that staff as a whole gets as much credit as they deserve.
God, they
because-
should. All they
They're
do is
kind of
win.
up there.
All they do is
I-
win.
I mean,
Look
and,
at the numbers.
and it's and they've done it with some different styles. They've done it with different guys. I've always kind of marveled Kazuzik being on the sideline and watching him call plays, and that I would not want to play poker against that guy, just because he never shows any emotion. You don't know whether he's up 20 or needing, And I go back to when they played St. Teresa in that game at Nashville in the playoff game, and they're down 2 scores, and he goes and they score, and then St. Teresa, I can't remember the running back's name, but the running back was averaging like 10.5 yards a carry, and basically he played for a stop, and then they were down 2 scores because they'd missed an extra point. And so they get the ball back with less than 2 minutes. They're on their own side of the field. And, his play calling was like, I'm sitting there on the sidelines going, oh my gosh, what's going, why are they not throwing the ball? You got a long way to go and a short time to get there, and yet they work down the field, and he gets a chip shot, and the confidence he had in his kicker to play for a game-winning field goal when you're in this spot because you missed a short an extra point, but yet he knew his team better than, and just there was never panic. There was and just that calm nature, the way he called the plays, it was a masterclass. And I feel like that, and again, I think that the depth of their coaching staff is just tremendous. I think that they've got a lot of dudes that are positive influences, and that again, that's not to say that other places don't, but I just don't know that. I don't know that they get the credit. Kind of like I always used to say, I don't think Kurt Simon got the credit that he deserved because he's, over in Carmine, he's kind of in no man's land. And with Nashville, we include them, but they're not getting the St. Louis pub. They're not getting the pub from the north. And, but what they've been able to do and establish and it's just impressive. It's just really impressive. And again, when you go down the list of, each one of these schools has not got a lot of talent, but not only got a lot of talent, but the coaching staffs are pretty dang good, and that's what's going to make it fascinating. When the helmets collide each and every week in Mississippi.
Ready, Russ. Ready, Russ.
You playing?
Hopefully not. Hopefully not. I'm ready, Russ.
Brad Guai said he wanted you on the roster.
He did. He wanted me on there. What do you put? We had me probably punting. Oh my gosh, there goes state champ medal.
I don't even know what he wanted you. He said you'd be a good
left out.
Yeah.
I think left out. What do you think, buddy? It's been a fun show, man. How you want to wrap it up with Darren? Darren's, my God, he's 67 years old. He's probably gonna get home soon.
You know what?
Go to bed by 9.
Me and Darren, I kept getting on him about trying to figure out what game I wanted to go to or what game we were going to.
Okay, let's say this because the show will come out before Friday. Where are you going week 1?
It'll come out Thursday.
Russ asked me where I'm going week 1 back in June.
I guarantee you did. Russ is excited.
I'm right.
He's excited.
And it's one of those things where it's like, Russ, I don't know what I'm doing tomorrow, man.
I don't know what I'm doing in an hour.
Right. I'm probably going to still be here in an hour.
I don't doubt that. 100 of your segment's been cut, by the way. Sorry, have to come back.
This is the wrap. Look, and it's one of those things where, with our guys that are doing radio, we've got double coverage, so to speak, with Carterville Marion. We got double coverage with Murphy and Carbondale. And those are 2 games that I would probably potentially go to. But the question goes, well, if I can go somewhere else, it gives us more. Russ has talked about, Frankfurt Massac being very appealing.
Game's at Frankfurt, right?
Yep. It's at Frankfurt. And, when you look at it, it's, DeCoin, Mount Carmel.
Yeah. Yeah,
it's a
that's
very
intriguing game.
But I don't want to drive to Mount Carmel.
Who does?
Who
does?
That may be, and that's the thing is that I generally, there's times I change my mind, and and so
Where are you going, Darren?
I don't know is what I'm telling you. So, I mean, Cesar and Flora is honestly a pretty good matchup as well, and so you know, and you got other storylines. You got Coach Dallas and his debut at home against Harrisburg, and so and this is always the conundrum of what I do is, you know, do I go just one place or do I try to get multiple sets of highlights and do the games even match up that you could do that, and potentially, I mean, it could be, you know, it could be I go to AJ for a half and then hit Carbondale on the way back. I mean, that's something that I've considered, and there's just a lot of things that go into it, and you know, and so again, that's a long way to say that as we record here on, I don't even know what day it is now. I mean,
You better jump in if you're going to get on the show.
Monday, August 17th at
Seriously,
9:10 p.m.
it's still Monday. Okay,
Yeah.
I mean that's
What do you want to talk about? You've already discussed everything.
Have we? Well, you didn't get to get on camera.
I'm chilling.
You're a stud.
you know. So I mean, again, I think that you know, it's again, Marion and Carterville is interesting. I mean, Carbondale Murphy is always interesting. You know, and I keep going back to DeCoin and Mount Carmel because there's
There's
just-
history there.
There's history there in that stadium.
Yeah.
You know, and you know,
You talk about two storied programs, last 50 years of Southern Illinois football. Does it get bigger than those two?
No,
I don't think it does.
No.
You know, I mean, when you go bigger picture, yeah, I mean, it's you know, those are two of the tops, and you know, and they've had some battles in the past,
They
in
sure
the
have.
playoffs, and so that's a really appealing game, and
Let's
again,
get him to go there. Let's
Um,
get him to
you're
go in
about-
Mount
you're about
Carmel.
to- But see, here's the other thing is I have to think of big pictures doing Friday Night Live.
It's
is
true.
that,
Yeah.
you know, if I'm not leaving Mount Carmel till 9:00,
No.
that puts Friday Night Live at 11. So I have to balance some things.
And that's if the game, you know, goes,
That's if it's not some of those games I had last year.
and a lot of people like parking down low because they don't like to walk down the stairs.
Just tell everybody they got to run the ball. Not a lot of passing, just a lot of running.
Well, funny story about that. You know, the first time I ever covered a game at Mount Carmel was a playoff game, and it was first round of the playoffs. I believe Benton was at Robinson, and that was a 1:00 game, and then it was either Heron or DeCoin at Mount Carmel.
Benton's first
Was
playoff win,
2
Matt
or
Robinson.
2:30.
Groves.
So I'm like, I can double that up. I mean, it's Robinson right down Route 1.
Would be fall of 95, by the way. Fall of 95.
So I end up getting to Mount Carmel, and again, this is pre Google Maps, MapQuest, whatever
This is 33 years ago, Darren.
I mean, yeah, you 31.
31, I can't count. 26 and 5 is 31, not 33,
You know,
folks.
and yeah. We don't pay you for your math.
Thank you. Neither does the dealership, apparently.
So I get there and I park up top. And so this is old school equipment days where it's you youngins don't know tube cameras, had a deck to carry as well that you recorded
About
on.
100 pounds over there.
And so go down, shoot the second half, not a big deal. The 123 steps
Oh.
up after the game was a big deal. And I'm telling you right now, old man Darren couldn't.
I was going to say,
Wouldn't do that. Wouldn't do that. And,
early
and the
20s
fact
Darren,
that,
okay, but not.
yeah, no, it's about 100 pounds lighter too. Back in that time. But at that point, when I got down there, I was like, "You mean to tell me there's a parking lot down here? Come on now." But I did know that for the next time I was down there. So
When's the last time you've been to Riverview Stadium?
Ooh, that's
Nice.
would have been the Benton playoff game.
I forgot about that.
I don't have to talk about that game. We're not going to talk about that
What
game.
happened?
Rush, you're from Benton. You should know. You were a freshman in high school.
Yeah, lost 30-14.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, we did.
Got the
Yeah, we did.
that was the
Keegan Glover's last high school football game. And Reed Baumgart's and Chase Thomas's.
So and that was
And all the other seniors on
And all the other seasons I'm forgetting. I'm sorry.
no. I mean, it's always a tremendous atmosphere, and it's a cool place.
Yeah, for sure.
It's a cool place, and now they've renovated it. They've got turf. They've got a field house.
Nice.
Those are pretty nice. It was
Yeah.
pretty nice.
So I mean it, but I'm not committing yet. So
I guess we'll see him at DuQuoin and Mount Carmel. I'm just kidding.
no, it's and again, it's sometimes it's a big puzzle, and everybody kind of goes, well, why don't you cover this? Why don't you cover that? And sometimes it's
Caleb Vaughn.
I can.
Caleb Vaughn. Oh, yeah, I
the
forgot.
other
Ricky
seniors.
Vaughn.
Ricky Vaughn was a senior.
Well, and that was, if you remember, that was kind of that was the Blaine Sisson.
Oh, yeah.
The early Blaine Sisson.
It was early Blade System. Yeah, we lost to them again. Wait, we've been back.
Yeah, we lost 24-17.
Oh, we've been back. I forgot. We
First
went
round
back
of the playoffs,
Junior year.
I
forgot you didn't go to that game. Your junior year, we got beat first round playoffs 24-17. I forgot.
Right.
We were close to upset. And they went.
Yeah,
they
that would have been an upset. The other one
Huge
was,
because they went deep.
right.
They were state runner-up.
Yep.
Biggest deficit in a state championship game
Right.
ever.
They don't want to talk about that.
69-7.
You want to know the famous Ryder Watson quote? The famous Ryder Watson quote. How far are we in when I'm bringing this up?
2 hours and 24 minutes.
Ryder Watson, whose brother Rivers Watson, a returning All-South member for the Benton Rangers, right?
Yep.
Ryder Watson, we're at a basketball game, and I got him over at Pinckneyville, and Mount Carmel is also at the Duster Thomas Hoops Classic, and someone hasn't, I'm telling this story, Ryder, you can get mad, I don't care, and someone hasn't washed off their vehicle. There's a van in front of us, and I take Ryder Ryder doesn't play basketball. He wants to go watch train some of his buddies that play basketball for Benton. And someone from Mount Carmel was in front of us at McDonald's in Pinckneyville, and they still have on there something about good luck in the state championship game, against Byron. And Ryder Watson, this better be a clip, rolls down the window and goes, "Byron by 60!" And I tried to do this driving. Oh my, and you know how loud Ryder Watson is.
Yeah, I was in
outside
the locker room with him.
Former outside linebacker for the Benton Rangers 2 years ago. I'm like, I didn't know what to do. And I can't hide because there's a car behind me. I can't get out of line. So I'm just sitting there and I'm like, they heard me. I know they heard me. Please God, don't have anything Benton on my car. Of course, there's a Weeks in Benton sticker on my car and stuff. I'm like, I wanted to dig a hole so bad. He screamed it so loud. I'll never forget Byron
That's when
by
you just
60.
stick your head out and look behind you.
Yeah, who did that? I'm so... Gosh, people, it's terrible. It was technically 62. Was it 62?
Yeah, I was there. It's cold.
What can I say? Benton's never beaten Mount Carmel. What can I say? Mount Carmel has never lost to Benton in football. There's the... But Byron did win by 60, too.
We still got to ask the most important question in this show. It's still a different show, but...
It's a different show. There's no intro and outro to this show, though. It's just the playoff show.
Yeah.
Just the playoff show. One segment show.
If we're gonna do an outro, we are gonna need to order breakfast.
We are. We're speaking of food. Darren, we do it every week, and we're going to put you on the spot about this.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, is it Cane's or is it Chick-fil-A? What's your favorite and why? And why?
I'm gonna go Hucks for the win.
Hucks for the win. What do you get? Potato logs?
Wedges and chicken.
Chicken. Chicken. If we make you go to Chick-fil-A or Cane's, if we make you.
I'd probably go to Cane's.
Okay, and are you like these? You just like to,
Travis's question.
huh?
I said get ready for Travis's question.
What
here.
is it?
What he gets?
What do you get there? I don't even know what this thing's called. I get these people message me and laugh at me. You can't get anything else than
Right.
chicken. Chicken and French fries. Is there anything on the menu besides chicken and French fries?
Yeah. Let's see. I think I'm gonna go with the strips and fries.
Or the strips on the
Or do you
bun.
want strips and the fries?
Yeah, or the strip. Yeah,
Or do you want the strips on a bun?
on a bun, which
With
is
fries.
Same thing. Same exact thing. Isn't the sandwich the same exact thing?
Oh, pretty well, yeah.
I'm sweating now.
You just get some. You just
62
get,
in here.
You just get some lettuce, though.
They don't even have lettuce there, do they?
They do on the strip. on the bun or on the
Dude,
sandwich.
I have not gotten back on the vegetable train. Not happening.
It makes you feel a little bit.
I forgot once, and I had a salad,
And I had a salad.
and I was worried for a few days. You know, just you're like, oh gosh, I don't want that. So.
I would like to go back to, I asked this famous question. We do weekly with Cane's or Chick-fil-A, but I'd like to go back to Huck's. Talk about why you love Huck's. Why you love Huck's chicken.
Is there a specific Huck's as well?
Yeah, is there a specific Huck's?
I would say the Mount Vernon's top notch. Mount Vernon Hucks.
On 37?
No,
No?
the
They
interstate.
got 4 Hucks.
It's like Benton and Dollar General? We have 27 Dollar Generals in Benton.
No, the one the truck stop there right off.
Oh,
the,
yeah.
off the main entrance.
Yeah.
If Jake Stewart hears this, he's going to have because Marty Nichols, assistant coach Marty Nichols, is all about gas station food.
I like gas station food. Look at me.
And it's it was a going joke, and I made the mistake of saying it depends on the gas station. I mean QT or the 618 Buc-ee's. I mean the roller grill stuff. I'm good with that. But the Huck's chicken is hard to. But Mount Vernon and then the Marion one. I usually the Marion the one that's on Old 13 is the one I usually hit. So no, I mean I don't. That's the one I always fill up on because I usually go the Old 13 back. I mean it's just.
Well, hey, Russ, we appreciate it. This has been a lot of fun.
Yep.
Darren's going to have to eat breakfast. We don't let him go home. Melissa's going to wonder what happened. My Melissa's wondering what happened to me. His Melissa's going to wonder what happened to him.
I told her I was coming over for the pod. She's like, "Oh, I'll see you tomorrow."
Melissa said to me a minute ago, she's like, "You're not picking up bird practice at 9, are you?" No.
We're not done.
No. She's like, "You got there at 6:08." We didn't start at 6:08.
I got here at like 2:45.
That's good for you. It's good. You're young. Wait till you have a family. Wait till you have a family, bud.
Well, I appreciate you traveling
yeah.
up here for the football preview show, because we got a lot in store this year.
Yeah, I mean it should be a great season, and I think we hit on one of everything in the past 17 hours, but.
Including food, the most important.
Most important.
Well, yeah, I mean, I have to figure out which drive-through I'm hitting on the way back. So, but no, it's I mean, again, it's game week, and that's what's exciting to me is to knowing that
Game time!
Friday, Friday we've got games. We've got another game on Saturday. I know you're talking about going to see Christopher in El Dorado. And the other thing that's kind of cool for as I was going through the schedule is we've got several Thursday games this year.
Yeah.
And so, and there's going to be some weeks where we have games on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. And so,
that's awesome for you guys.
I mean, it's great because it can, get
Content galore.
able to get more places. And, we didn't even talk about the fact, with Viana Goreville coming back with a limited schedule, they don't play until week 2. That's one of those Thursday games. They go to Massac County. That would
Me and
be
Travis are going, right?
I'm going.
next Thursday.
I'll go.
So,
Brody doesn't play on Thursdays.
but I mean, there's just all sorts of different storylines, and it should be a fun season.
I'm excited about football, man. I love it. I love it.
Before we get going, Travis, you got to show off the new shirt.
You can see it, can't you?
Yeah.
New shirt, new merch right here, guys.
It's the old retro logo.
It's Russ's retro logo. This is Russ. I always forget your middle name.
Lee.
Russell Lee. God, are you a country singer? No. Russell Lee Conwell. Hey, this is my shirt. I designed it. I'm nuts. I mean, I'm talked too long. I've talked out. I sold a truck today, so it's been,
The Bighorn?
yakking all day.
The Bighorn?
I sold a Ram truck, yeah.
The Hemi?
A different one. It was a Hemi, yeah. Yeah. People are from Evansville, Indiana. Yeah, came all the way over.
They probably saw the Weeks in Benton ad on the show.
I think they saw a Facebook ad, but yeah, we'll go with the show ad. We'll go with the show ad. Yeah, it's definitely what they saw. That's exactly what they saw, Russ. Thank you. Great marketing there. Travis, wake up. Travis, wake up.
But yeah, that wraps the show up.
Are we going to get like a little Darren? I'm going to have the dad do this. Have a little Darren cut out in here. Have a little cut out of him each week.
What a bobblehead.
Yeah, we'll get a Darren. We're getting Darren Kinnard bobblehead. We're getting one.
Well, I mean, I'm not to Kevin Huntsberger level where I
that's
where I get my own bobblehead.
Is he still pro
so,
wrestling? Is he still pro wrestling? Is he really?
Yeah.
So
That's awesome.
I mean, he'll appreciate the shout out.
Heck yeah.
Huntsberger.
Guys, I've got to go to Dollar General before 10. I was just informed.
I thought it was Hobby Lobby.
Nah, that was a different show. That was a different show. Hey, just wait, Hunter. You'll be married one day.
He's engaged.
Yeah, love is love. Yeah. You're engaged?
Yeah.
Fantastic. I'm not saying anything is spawned for God.
Yep.
This is a great show, and I appreciate it. Horns down. Go Irish. Hey, go Irish. Go Notre Dame.
Even worse.
Go Irish.
Peace.
Oh,
How about let's go home?
yes, there it is. Perfect.